An astute commenter here on the channel asked a question of me: if emotions are a hoax and they're no good and they're really just thoughts that are disguising themselves as feeling in order to trick us into being driven by these emotions. So if emotions aren't any good, and if mood is not the definition of feeling, feely, touchy, moody, not moody, emotion, no emotion, none of that applies when you're talking about the other, another you, as the other you consciousness. The mind is made up of two consciousnesses, period. Yin yang. You have two temples. There's only one definition for the word temple: sanctuary. Sanctuary of the moon, temple of the moon, temple of the sun. That's why you got all that in Egypt and down in Mexico and everywhere. Ancient man understood that you had a lunar conscious self and a solar conscious self. Just Google Rebis, R-E-B-I-S. Go to images. Google Rebis, R-E-B-I-S, and go to images. You'll see what we used to know. And then if you go deeper and do it like I did, you'll find out how come we don't know it anymore. Religious oppression and all that now caused that. But it's a very, very pertinent, relevant, critical, essential question. How do I tell the difference between my thoughts and my feelings? If we're not identifying feeling as emotion or mood, then what is feeling? Well, let me tell you, it's subtle. It's very subtle. Trying to getting your thoughts to connect with, understand, listen to, and carry out instruction from the other self, the other you, the feminine you, the one that's suppressed, ignored. Getting your thoughts to get that information out of your feminine is like trying to coax a feral kitten out of the corner behind a couch. The more you reach and grab for it, the further back it goes. It's a relationship that draws the feminine into expression with thought. It's an outright respect for this twin individualism of self. Because you don't have a mind, you are one. You have a body. Even that's double. You have two of everything, basically, inside and out, on the physical plane, and it's the same in the spiritual plane. You're a duality. This is what was taken from us so long ago, where our most ancient ancestors had figured out that the human being is a person, a pair. Like a two heads, one body. That's what you really are. We don't like to think of that because we're polarized to the ego, rational, and we want to be a singularity. But man, you could take a black magic marker and go right down the middle of your body, and pretty much you got two of everything inside and out. And excuse me. And if you go to Rebis, Google Rebis, and go to images, you'll see the double man. You know, it'll always have a moon over one head. It'll be a two-headed person, two heads, one body. And there's an example of that in the world today. That's Abby and Brittany Hensel. Just YouTube Abby and Brittany Hensel. It's not that far-fetched. Two sisters have one body, two heads, and they're awesome. I love them. And this is outright expression of what's internal. You know, the way you and I look with a single head is kind of not right. I think over a long period of time, ego, you know, through devolution, if you will, got us into having just one head, but still two consciousnesses in that head. You can't escape that part, but you can look like you have, but you haven't. So you wake up with yourself every day, you go to bed with yourself every day, and that is not you as a singularity, alone and experiencing nothing but thoughts that make you feel more alone and more differentiated, separated from everything around you. You get too caught up, which is where the world is today, society-wise, the collective. You get too caught up in your rational, conscious self, your masculine, intelligence, intellectual self. You get too caught up in that and too polarized to that and not connected with your feeling self, you'll be alone like a motherfucker. You'll be so alone, it'll freak you out. Because that's what's really happening. You're dispaired with your own other self, so therefore it shows up in the world when you got no friends and you're alone. And there's a difference between being alone and lone. Now, back to the topic, back to the subject. How do I tell the difference between a feeling and a thought? Well, it's mindfulness, self-awareness, a sensitivity, wanting to know. It's like necessity is the mother of invention. When you really want to know this, it'll feed back to you. It's real. It's actual. You won't be reaching in the dark for the rest of your life on this one. It takes a minute or two to get your head back around from where it is and start looking and observing your mind and what's going on in the mind. And it's not too long down the road of just simple observation. You can tell that your thoughts are talking you out of your feeling. Here's an example. One time I had to do some work under my bus. I have a tour bus. That's where I live. I'm visiting somebody now, but my bus is up north. I'll be back on it soon enough. But one time I had to get underneath my bus, and it's a big, MCI coach. It's not like a school bus, even though I love those too. But it's a big, what you'd call Greyhound looking bus, but it was never that. It's always been a private coach. Like rock and roll stars got. I got one. God's blessing. So one time I had to get underneath there and do a little work on something underneath the bus. And if it hasn't been run for a while, this type of equipment, this type of bus has airbag suspension. And if it hasn't been running a while, a couple days, a week, the air will come out of the system and the bus will be settled down on its frame and lowered to the ground. When you start it up and the air comes back in the system, it picks itself up, one of those deals. So knowing all that and knowing I got to crawl underneath this thing with some tools and work on something is barely enough room. And there's been times when I've done this, I've actually had to, shovel out a little spot so I can get in there. It's tight when it's like that. So I was under there one day, and again, I'm talking about how to tell the difference between a thought and a feeling, because that's critical. Not knowing that is life-threatening you. I'm telling you. And life has come to a point where we need to relearn what we know about this, and I'm here to tell you about it. So I crawl under the bus on my back. It's like scooching under. I can't really grab anything. There's no way to use my limbs. I'm basically just snake crawling under there on my back. And I'm tapping around, I'm looking around. I got the wrench out, I got the flashlight out, I maybe have some pliers or whatever, and I'm working on this thing that I was working on underneath there. And all of a sudden, I came to know that I needed a hammer, and I didn't bring one with me. It wasn't a belief, it wasn't a thought. I felt that, like, oh man, I'm gonna need a hammer. You know what happens right then? Right there, like that? Your thoughts will start talking you out of getting the hammer. Why? Because my thoughts go, well, no, just use the pliers, beat it with the pliers. Nah, use that wrench, the biggest one you brought, and hit on it with that. Look, over there's a rock. I could shimmy a little further under and get this rock, and I'll beat it with that. You know what all that was? Thought. I knew that was feeling. I knew I needed a hammer. Shit, I need a hammer. That's knowing. That's Gnosticism. That's it. I know I need a hammer. There's no belief. But then thought will come in and amend it. Thought will come in and just take that feeling and translate it so that it doesn't have to crawl out from underneath the fucking bus. How sick is that shit, right? So like, feeling says you need a hammer. Thought goes, no, we don't. I'll use the pliers. I'll use a rock. Well, I'm a master of this stuff, and I knew what was going on when that was happening in my mind. And I ain't gonna fail there. That's the battle zone right there. And I tell my thoughts a lot. How dare you speak to me like that? Because I'm the I, me, myself, I. And my feeling and thought answer to I. And when my thoughts go anywhere away from feeling, I go, how dare you? Who the fuck do you think you are? I rebuke my thoughts constantly. Because thought has free will. Thought can ignore feeling or not. And not in my house. Not in my house. My thoughts listen to feeling or I'll die standing there waiting for it. It's that important. I'm sick of the world, the way it looks, and it's all because we're so rational, intellectual, mathematical, technological. Everything's practical, quantified, and there's no feeling. Nobody's following feeling at all, and therefore there's no happiness anywhere. And nobody's happy, rich or poor, sick or healthy. I'm happy. Now, and so right then and there I go, no, who the hell are you talking to me like that? I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to my thoughts. I'm sitting in the middle, I got feeling, I got thought, and I'm the mental coordinator. Every second of my life, I'm in this position with myself, constantly, mindful, self-aware. It matters, it's not a fucking hobby. It matters, the children are crying, we gotta fix this shit. Starts with you, starts with me. So anyway, I'm underneath there and I know what's going on and I can detect thought. How can I detect thought? Well, one, your first thought is actually a feeling. Intuitive, feminine, connected to heart and home. Thought is connected to the outer world and non-home, the unknown actually. Feeling is connected to the known. Thought's connected to the unknown. Now, so I know what's going on right there. I know that feeling is telling me I need a hammer, and that if I follow that feeling, it'll all work out better than if I don't. If my thoughts are allowed to over-talk, if my rational servant self, rational, tells my whole-minded self, it's like a young child telling an older person what to do. It's like, no. I'm watching this inside myself. And I master it. Master of mind. Mastermind. And then, I'm telling you. And I go, no. Shut the fuck up. I tell my thoughts, shut up, Jack. We're listening to Jill, Jack. And Jack, you will scurry me out of here because the thought conscious self governs all of your physical, and the feeling conscious self deals and governs all your spiritual. So anyway, I tell my thoughts, no, get yourself, crawl out and get a fucking hammer. I'm not even going to talk to you about this. We're not using the pliers. I ain't using a wrench. I ain't grabbing that rock. I ain't listening to you because you're trying to be convenient, look for shortcuts, and you're not listening to your sister self. And listening to the sister self ain't got anything to do with convenience, your convenience, Jack, or your life, Jack. You are the knight in shining armor of this kingdom of mine, and you will serve the queen. And the queen has said we need a fucking hammer, not use that rock, not use those pliers. That's how it goes. I'm telling you, when you get into yourself this way, you're getting somewhere. So anyway, I crawl out under this whole mindfulness. And I'm getting ready to go, to the toolbox and get a hammer. And what do I see? My neighbor's house is on fire. I'm like, whoa! I made some phone calls and, saved the day, so to speak. But had I been underneath there fucking not listening to feeling, using a rock or pliers or fucking something else for a hammer, over talking feeling, I wouldn't have been able to help like I did. And feeling has a bigger picture it's looking at. Your thoughts are very narrow-minded, very blinders on, solar conscious self. When the sun is out, you can't see the stars. When your thoughts are overbearing, you can't see the big picture. So there's this omnipotent, omnipresent condition of existence that you miss out on if you're over-rational and you didn't train your thoughts to listen to your fucking feelings. Just like a dog is trained to listen to the handler. In your case, your fucking dog doesn't give a shit about the handler. It's doing whatever the fuck it wants. And you're finding fate because you're using logic and thoughts, whereas your thought conscious self has one job and one job only. Sister, tell me, what do we do next? Because my inner, quiet, feminine, sublime self is in a union with the divine. It's not loud and carrying on and beating shit up and making mistakes. That other you, it is you. It is not something else. It is you as two. One of you connected to what we know and home, and while you're here in this place, the other one of you is connected to the unknown. In order to experience, we have to go into the unknown. But when we go into the unknown, if we don't commune with our other twin, the one that's connected to home, then you're lost.